Next, I will apply contact cement to the area that we just sanded. And I will also apply it to the back of our connector strap. And we'll set this aside until it dries, until it's tacky. I have allowed my cement to dry until it's tacky, and now I will carefully place it up to my line, or 1/2 between this and the cover piece. Next, I will once again take my stitching chisel and I will punch on through these holes and through the thickness of the body as well. And now we will stitch down this line, as you can see, fastening the connector strip to one end of the cover. Now that we have stitched down this side, we'll turn it over and once again apply contact cement to the back of the connector strip and also to the other end of the cover. And then we will let this sit until it dries, until it's tacky. We have allowed our cement to dry, so now we can fold this over and very carefully align it up and stick the other half in place. Next, I will use my awl and carefully go through the holes into the body or the cover. Now, if we want to attach the optional handle, now is the time to do it. So I have traced a piece of tracing paper from my pattern, and I can use that now to mark the position of the holes, and I will do that with the awl. And then I will use a 1/16 inch round drive punch to punch these holes. We will do this to both ends. Next, we will use the skiving tool and we'll skive both ends of this leather just up past where we punched the holes. Next, we will prepare to fasten the handle to the top. And to do that, I will place it, as you can see, and then with my awl, I will mark the 4 holes. Next, with a small hole punch, I will punch the holes all the way through, right where we have our marks. And now with a short piece of thread and starting from the inside out, I will fasten this, as you can see. Now that we have finished fastening the handle to the top, we'll fold it over to the bottom, as you can see, and then we will do the same thing back down here to fasten it. It is now time to prepare the bottom and the floor for installation. The first thing I'll do is take the bottom, and with my skiving knife I will skive down the edge about halfway in, a little over a quarter, maybe 3/8 of an inch in from the edge. Next, I will cement the floor to the bottom piece, and I'll do that by applying contact cement to the back side or the flesh side of the floor, and then I will apply contact cement to the bottom as well, into the center, as you can see, where we will cement the floor. I have allowed my cement to dry until it's tacky, and now I can carefully place my floor in the center of the bottom circle. If you would like to put a finger hole in the bottom of your koozie, just take your wing divider and scribe a hole that'll give you about a 1-inch opening, and then with a stencil knife you can very carefully cut the hole. And then I will thoroughly dampen the bottom, especially along the edge. I will turn it over and also dampen the edge from the back side. And then next we will take our fingers and we'll fold the edges up about a quarter of an inch, as you can see. We'll do that all the way around. Then we will take our koozie and we'll fit this into the bottom. We want to, at this time we're just fitting it. And as you can see, I'm fitting it into the bottom. Making sure that I get it flush all the way around. I'm pushing, by the way, from the top down. And with my thumb I'm pushing up so that I get it exactly located in the bottom. Now, we will let this dry in this position. After my bottom assembly has dried somewhat, it doesn't need to dry completely, we can remove it and we will now apply contact cement all the way around the edge, as you can see. Now, we will apply this to both this part. We will also apply contact cement to the inside of the cylinder, about a quarter of an inch wide. We'll do this all the way around. Now, normally we would wait for the contact cement to dry until it's tacky. However, In this case, we will want to move it around some, so we will put the bottom in at this time. We will put it down flush, and then we will allow it to dry in this position, and then we can continue with our stitching. After I have allowed the leather to dry in the bottom of my cup, I will now use the pliers type punch. In this case, I'm using the 1/8 inch, and I will punch a line 1/8 inch in from the edge all the way around. Now with the 2-needle method, we will stitch all the way around the bottom. It's best to let your bottom dry overnight, and then with an edge beveler, you can edge bevel on the inside, as you can see. After you have finished with the edge beveling, take some fine sandpaper and sand this edge. As you can see, this will remove any of the glue that's squeezed out and make it easier to do our slicking. And then I will take the sponge and dampen this edge and let it sit then for a few minutes for the water to penetrate. And finally then, with the edge of my wooden slicker, I can slick the bottom edge, as you can see. And finally, with some of the professional edge dressing, I will carefully coat this bottom edge. The last thing to do is insert the sheep wool for the insulation, and I'm going to use the leather weld to do that. Now, it's only necessary to put a line of glue along the top, as you can see, and I will also apply some of the leather weld along the top edge of the sheep wool. Now, as soon as we finish putting this along the top, we will immediately put it inside of the koozie. I will first roll the wool, as you can see. I will drop it down into the opening, and after dropping it into the opening, then we will push it down and get a good fit in there with it. One way to keep the wool in place is to place a can at this time and let it dry in that position.